Saudi Arabia is allied with the United States in the war on terror, but the kingdom's critics say it is playing both sides, siding with America while continuing to promote Islamic fundamentalism around the world. Osama bin Laden himself is a Saudi, as is the man sitting next to him in this videotape. And if the Saudi royal family is with America, some question where the rest of the country falls. Fareed Zakaria writes in Newsweek, quote, "If elections had been held last month in Saudi Arabia with King Fahd and Osama bin Laden on the ballot, I would not bet too heavily on His Royal Highness's fortunes." Prince Bandar bin Sultan is the Saudi ambassador to the United States. Prince Bandar, thank you, sir, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Chris.
You're great to come on. You were watching the program Friday night, and you wanted to take issue with something we reported. I believe it was from a Andrea Mitchell report that showed that in your country, the televised report of the videotape of Osama bin Laden bragging, in a sense, about his knowledge beforehand of the horrible destruction of September 11th was not really broadcast on your official Saudi Arabian television, but only the criticisms made of it. And then I saw in the paper this weekend that the Associated Press is reporting that your government has still not decided whether to show the tape of Osama bin Laden bragging about blowing up the World Trade Centers and the Pentagon. What do you make of that decision, and why does your government still not want to show that tape which incriminates Osama bin Laden?
Chris, I think if these reports are true, shame on Saudi Arabia. Truth is, on the day of the airing of the tape of bin Laden, it was shown in Saudi Arabia 3 times on the main news and twice afterward. 3 times.
Well, why did the official spokesman for Saudi Arabian television say over the weekend that they had no plans to air it?
Again, they are not plans to air it again, but they aired it 3 times when it first came out. That's number one. Number two, that late afternoon that day, we issued a statement that can't be more stronger. But more important than all of this, common sense tells us that bin Laden is not big news in Saudi Arabia as a terrorist. You know why? Because we knew he was a terrorist before the 11th of September. He was stripped from his nationality, his people were chased, his people were behind the attack that killed 5 American soldiers in Saudi Arabia 4 or 5 years ago. When we captured them, we tried them under Sharia law, we executed them. Guess what? Western media said we did something terrible. We're killing dissidents. You know, those dissidents, when we chased them in Saudi Arabia,
right,
the followers of Osama bin Laden, they don't run away to Cairo or Tehran or Damascus. They escaped to London, Paris, Frankfurt, America. On the 10th of September, most of those people were called dissidents. On the 12th, they were called terrorists.
Well, let me tell you why they're terrorists, because 15 people from your country blew up our World Trade Center and our Pentagon. If 15 Americans had gone to Saudi Arabia and blown up your iconic places like the World Trade Center and the equivalent of the pyramids or something like that over there, you would be wanting to know why those people did it, and you'd want our government to tell us why they did it. Has your government dug into who these 15 people are and why they did it to us, what they did to us on September 11th?
But, Chris, you just proved my point. You cannot take yes for an answer. I'm saying we called them terrorists before 11 September. You called them dissident. After the 11th of September, the same people became terrorists to you. You've switched their category from dissident to terrorist. For us, they are terrorists. When you say bin Laden in Saudi Arabia, people say, yes, that renegade, that bad guy. Therefore, bin Laden or the 15 people who were in the airplane, or people who follow them or support them, they are not just terrorists after what they did on the 11th of September. They are evil, Chris.
But if they're evil and they're dissidents in your country, why don't they blow up your country, their own country? Why do they come here and blow up ours?
They tried to do that in Saudi Arabia many times. Touch wood that they didn't succeed as big as they did in the United States, but they attacked people, they exploded bombs in Saudi Arabia. So we were after them. We were after them. And
what we don't understand is why bin Laden, who comes from a royal family, was like coming from the Rockefellers in this country. All right, it's a good comparison, isn't it?
It is a good comparison,
okay,
but a renegade one.
But he's a renegade.
Yes.
But why doesn't his family go after him? Why doesn't the family? Why don't you freeze the assets of all the wealthy Saudis who are giving money to these types of organizations?
This is the tragedy, and you have to forgive me. American media is either lazy or ignorant. This man, his family froze his assets. They disavowed of him. They disowned him. The government stripped him from his nationality. And I want to question the report you mentioned that if there was an election in Saudi Arabia between him and the king, he would have won. You know something? That is fancy talk. It's lovely.
Well, you don't have elections in your country. But that's one fact. I can never dispute this because it's a moot point. You don't have elections.
Exactly. But I can prove it to you another way. If Bin Laden had such a great followers in Saudi Arabia, he wouldn't be hiding in Afghanistan. He would be in Saudi Arabia leading his people. Remember when Khomeini
How is it so easy for him to recruit young guys in their early 20s to go do his killing in this country if he's not popular? These guys went to their death just because he said, go to your death.
You make it sound like out of 12 million Saudis, 3 million were following him. You're talking about a handful. That's number one. Number two...
3 handfuls, 15.
Okay, 3 handfuls, thank you. Second, you're talking about... how do you explain this guy Walker? He's an American living in San Francisco. Why would he follow? I can't speak for crazy people. Nobody has monopoly over crazies. And Saudi people take offense when people say Islamic terrorists. Rabin was not killed, Prime Minister Rabin of Israel was not killed by an Islamic terrorist. He was a Jewish religious guy. IRA are not Muslims, they are terrorists. McVeigh, can you imagine after McVeigh's death, after McVeigh blew up those 200 Americans in Oklahoma, if I came and said, all blue eyes, blondes, who were veterans, are terrorists.
Well, you know what I say to you? As the nuns taught
that will include you, Chris.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
You're right.
In this case, let me ask you...
We are condemning what happened. You guys are refusing to accept us.
Let me tell you, as bad as the IRA is, and even worse, the NORAID crowd that give them the money from this and the bars in North America, as bad as the Basques are, as bad as Ergun and the Stern Gang were, they never blew up the World Trade Center, never blew up our Pentagon. The Islamic fundamentalists did it.
Where is this?
I want you to explain why these people are so angry at your country that they come over here and blow up our country.
You are trying to make me now to be a doctor, to be a psychologist. I am not.
Aren't you confounded? Aren't you, when you turned on TV that day and you saw that, and you found out that 15 of the 19 killers, the suicides, came from your country, what was your emotional reaction?
I was shocked. I was hurt.
Were you surprised?
I was surprised.
You were.
I was surprised. But
even though Bin Laden recruits most of his people from Saudi?
Not most of his people. No. You see, you make it. This is the problem.
Okay.
You all start with a premise, and then everything has to be fact. The premise is wrong. The truth of the matter is, we think is evil, Bin Laden. We think people who follow him are evil. We have pain for what happened in America.
Because of what they believe or what they do?
Because what they believe and what they did.
Okay, according to the New York Times, official Saudi school books teach, quote, one of the major requirements in hating the infidels and being hostile to them is ignoring their rituals and their festivities. Saudi textbooks teach hate of the West, don't they?
That is not true.
Well, what the New York Times is wrong.
The New York Times is wrong, absolutely. If
so the New York Times books do not encourage, do not discourage mixing with Christians and Jews?
Islam.
No, the Saudi textbooks.
Wait, Islam is against hate. Islam is for tolerance. Saudi Arabia practices Islam. Does it make sense to you, Chris, if Bin Laden and his likes, those evil people, are supposed to be the product of the Saudi religious teachings? If that is true, and they consider, Bin Laden was in public saying the Saudis are infidels, their leaders are infidels, their religious leaders, are we stupid? Why would we go and teach people so they can come and attack us?
So that you would attack somebody else?
Wrong. No. They started with us. They killed. What Taliban has been doing for 3 years now, 5 years, killing other Afghanistan other Muslims. You just know.
But you know, the sense in this country is that your government has been very smart to sort of buy off the younger generation, give them all the money they need to go proselytize around the world and do their dirty will and leave them alone. They're paying protection money in a sense. You know what?
This is bullshit, to be honest with you. You should not, America is too great, and the American media is too important to be ignorant. And in Saudi Arabia, I saw, take his interview. If you are an Arabic-speaking person, what he said in Arabic was worse than the translation in English. There is nobody who's an Arab, who speaks good Arabic, who's a Muslim, who can have any doubt that this guy is an evil man by what he said, not the translation. So what I'm trying to tell you is...
But if I went to Saudi right now, sir, excuse me, Your Highness, if I go to Saudi Arabia right now, the average TV watcher watching during this post-Ramadan period would actually be able to say to me, yes, Chris, I did see Mr. Bin Laden admitting the horror of his attitude of his own people going to their death, and he's laughing at them. They would have captured that idiom. They would have understood that sentiment completely. All the people in your country.
No.
You go home tomorrow, they'll understand that.
I was home 2 days ago,
Okay.
and that is the sentiment. But more importantly, to understand the Saudi sentiment, they will say, and we cannot understand why, before 11 September, you considered people like him dissidents. They were dissidents. They were evil. They were terrorists. You were saying because they were this way because you don't give them freedom of speech. You're right, because what they were speaking was poisonous and evil. There are people still in London today who are saying things that you would think they would be arrested.
So why did your government behead all those guys who were trying to get the word from and why they blew up the Cobra Towers?
No, we haven't yet done anything on Cobra. We're still investigation, working with your people. We beheaded the people in Riyadh because we convicted them. They confessed. They were, and the law was applied to them.
Yeah.
And my point
sort of
is,
cuts down on the interrogation, though, doesn't it?
No, we got the right. We got all the information we needed from them, and we shared it with you, by the way. But more important, Bin Laden, if he's brave, if he has such a lot of followers, if he can win, if we have elections in Saudi Arabia and beat the king, aren't you curious why is he hiding in Afghanistan? Why didn't he get in an airline, land in Riyadh, and then
because
leave
they have a very weak government. You have a very strong government. You have a very disciplined society. Afghanistan is a Wild West, basically. I understand why they went there.
Wouldn't you like to add to it something more that the Saudi society would not accept those people?
Well, let's try something for Fareed Sakari. He also wrote in Newsweek the quote: "The Saudi monarchy must order a comprehensive." This is his editorial for Action. Must order a comprehensive overview of its funding, both public and private, of extremist Islam, which is now the kingdom's second largest export to the rest of the world. It must rein in its religious and educational leaders and force them to stop flirting with fanaticism. What is the difference? Help me out here, because I am, believe it or not, objective on this. And I want to tell you something. Islamic fundamentalism, which is teaching it to me like Christian fundamentalism, go back to basics, get away from modernism, all that, and this notion of Islamism, which is very much connected to radical action. Where's the defining point? Your government certainly permits and encourages the teaching of fundamental Islam.
Absolutely.
How do you separate that fundamentalist belief, that purity, don't have anything to do with the corrupting effects of the world, and also don't engage in violence?
Chris, number one, at the risk of hurting your reputation, I think you are more objective than you think you are. But second, Islam fundamentalism, which is in the sect in Saudi Arabia, means we go back to basic teaching. Basic teaching of Islam, saying killing one innocent life is like killing all lives. Islam teaches us that if you don't believe in Judaism and Christianity and Jesus and Moses, you can't be a Muslim. Automatically you're excommunicated. Islam tells us. So the difference then becomes between somebody who's very religious, very much a believer, when you move from there to hate or violence, that's when we part ways.
Prince Bandar, I want to ask you one last question, because I know you've dealt with this since I've known you since 30 years ago. Do you think the American media is anti-Arab? Be honest about this. I
think very small segment of the American media is anti-Arab. But I think the danger is that large segment of the American media are really shallow. They really are shallow.
You're hurting them.
I know I hate them.
This is the worst critic of all.
But also, I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I'm being honest here. And I think that's dangerous for the American people. If I was an American, and I listen, I read what I see about Saudi Arabia.
You gotta go. Prince Bandar, Your Highness, thank you for joining us.
Happy birthday, Chris.
Ambassador to the United States for many years. Up next, John Walker, the American Taliban. New information suggests he was more than just a wayward religious zealot and actually trained to be a terrorist. That's John Walker, USA born. You're watching Hardball.